Hello, this is Sönna with Sundaughter Knits, and I am here to show how to join this reverse garter ridge tab with the Kitchener stitch. So this shawl was cast on, this little baby shawl was cast on along the long edge here. Sorry, looking through the camera, not at like, it's such a thing to keep it all on the screen. This was cast on along the long edge and then decreased up the center and on the sides to create a triangle shape, which is kind of awesome because that means that it goes faster and faster as you get closer to the end and you're kind of getting sick of it. One of the things we do though to maintain this nice triangle, be able to block it flat, is have this garter ridge border. And we want this garter ridge border to be continuous. And I already worked the first part of, oops, let me move that, of a garter ridge, a reverse garter ridge tab, in which we continued this 3-stitch border, joining it to some live stitches there. And now what we have are 6 stitches left and our working yarn, which is still attached to our ball here. And we need to join these 6 stitches using the Kitchener stitch, much like you would the toe of a sock. And what this is going to do is continue this border all along the edge here. So first things first, let's break our yarn. Okay, gave myself a nice long tail there. And I have to reorganize these stitches because what I want to be able to do is fold my work in half so that the right side is out and the wrong side is in. And then I want to sew these 3 stitches to these 3 stitches with the Kitchener stitch, and that means I need to access these outer stitches here. If you've ever done a magic loop, this is going to feel a bit like doing that. Come here, out of the way. We're just going to pinch the cable between the 3rd and 4th stitch, and we're going to pull it through. If you don't like that, you can slide your stitches onto double pointed needles, and that would allow you to access both sides. You can see now as I slip them up onto the tip here, I have my, sorry about the ding, I have my right side facing out, my wrong side together, and I have got 6 stitches, so total 3 stitches on each needle, and I'm ready to join with the Kitchener stitch. My working yarn should be coming off of the 1st stitch on my front needle. And let's just some quick vocabulary. I'm gonna close that computer, not here for the dings right now, sorry about that. We have a front needle, which is closer to my body. When I hold them parallel to each other, facing towards the right, the front needle is closer towards my body, the back needle is farther away from my body. So I need to thread this onto my darning needle. Come here, you. I chose one with a nice big opening, so it'd be really easy to be fast. You're welcome. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick moment to double check that my working yarn, my tail, comes off of the 1st stitch on my front needle and that my right side is out, my wrong sides are together. To set up, we're going to go into the 1st stitch on our back needle, and we're going to do that knitwise. So I'm going to go in like this. If this was a knitting needle, I'm going to insert it like I was going to knit a stitch. And now I'm going to sew through. And I don't know if you saw that little maneuver, but I got my darning needle out of the way of my knitting needle here. Hey, you. There we go. But I'm leaving this stitch on the back needle. And now I'm going to set up the front the same way. I'm going to sew through, well, the same way, but with purlwise. So I'm going in like I was going to purl a stitch, and I'm just going to sew through. There we go. I'm going to be super careful not to tug really hard. I want to mimic the same size stitches that I have along my border. So if I tug it really hard, I won't have that. Okay, ready for that back one? Here we go. We're now going to go into the 1st stitch on the back needle purlwise, and we're actually going to drop it off. And now we're going to go into the 2nd stitch on the back needle knitwise, but this time we're going to leave it on. And if you take a look, I'm using my finger, my tall man here, to keep that stitch from falling off as I sew through. There we go, not pulling too hard. Okay, ready for the front. We're gonna go in the first stitch on the front needle knitwise, slide it off, and now we're gonna go into the second, well, it's now the first, but the next stitch on the front needle purlwise, and I'm using my index finger here to hold it on, and I'm gonna sew it down. I'm gonna tug the other stitches out of the way. There you go. But I left this one on the needle. So let's do it again. I'm gonna go into the back stitch, whoops, back one, purlwise, hop off, and into the next stitch on the back needle knitwise, and sew through without letting it come off, giving everybody a nice little tug. Okay, now to the front. We're gonna go through the first stitch knitwise, hop off, next stitch purlwise, keep her on there. You, out of the way. Okay, last stitches. This is where it gets fiddly. I'm gonna try to make sure you can see. I'm gonna go in this last stitch purlwise and hop off. I don't have a next stitch, so I'm just gonna let go of that needle. And I'm gonna go into this stitch knitwise and hop off. And now I'm gonna sew through everybody. Let's turn it around this way. Come here, you. You're a little stretched out because I was tugging on you. Also, I've done this like 3 times. So now, here we go. Yay! Aside from my slightly stretched stitch right there, I have a garter ridge border that is continuous. See how it keeps going all along. Whoops, hey, don't focus on my fingers, focus on the shawl. There we go. And I can use this tail now to kind of deal with these stretch stitches. Like these poor things, you can see how they got pulled a little tight from over there. So I can snug everything down and make it look nice and secure, and even I'm gonna sew in all the bits with my tail, and it will be a continuous garter stitch border. Look at that. Yay!